What's up, guys? So I know a lot of people have been asking about the Curtis Customs Vector Action. I have had this action for about 6 or 7 months now. I posted a quick preview on it when I first got it in and dropped it into this stock. I have ran it in a number of both local and national level matches at this point to test out the reliability, the fit, form, and function of it, and to see if any problems arise. And so I'm here to kind of tell you guys all about it. But first and foremost, let's go over the entire rifle because I know people will have questions about that. Let's start with the stock. The stock here is a KMW Sentinel stock. It is developed by Terry Cross out of Louisiana. He is a well-respected law enforcement / military instructor as well as a PRS competitor. He has been a shooting competitor for many, many years. I'll let you guys Google him. But quickly on the stock, this is actually made by Macmillan stocks to Terry Cross's specs. So this is something that Terry Cross has spec'd out with Macmillan, and you buy it directly from Terry. You don't buy it from Macmillan. And he is, once again, like I said, out of Louisiana. All right, next, let's talk about the trigger. This is a Cadex CDX2 two-stage trigger designed for Remington 700 and 700 clone actions. Obviously, the Vector is a 700 clone action. It is a fully user-adjustable two-stage trigger in terms of first stage pull weight and second stage pull weight, and the trigger shoe is able to slide forward and backwards. Brief demonstration. As you can see, the rifle is empty. I brought my handy-dandy tactical Sharpie here. We pull back to the first stage. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hits a nice crisp wall and then pull right through. No over travel, clean break. I have run this trigger the entire life of this rifle. That's several thousand rounds in rain, mud, dirt, sand, all sorts of adverse conditions. I have literally never, ever cleaned it with anything, not even spit shining it. So it has given me zero problems, and it is also the same trigger that Cadex uses in all of its factory rifles, from their CDX 50 cal all the way down to their Guardian 308 and 6.5 260 Remington caliber rifles. So it is ultra reliable, especially if they're using it in those, because we know that Cadex is a military manufacturer. That doesn't mean that everything military is the best, but it is a good indication of reliability for their trigger. Next, up top here, we have the star of the show. It is obviously the Curtis Vector Action. It is a one-piece action in that the top rail is integral, 20 MOA built in. There are no other options. The recoil lug is integral as well. It is a 60-degree bolt throw, so you're only lifting up to here instead of coming all the way up for a 90. It is a 3-lug action designed primarily to use AW magazines, 10-round double stack AI AW mags. It can use standard 10-round AICS AI mags. However, that is with a caveat that I will touch on later in the video. And also, one of the biggest selling points of this action is the set screw quick barrel change feature, somewhat similar to an AI. An AI uses 1 set screw. This action uses 2 set screws, and they're definitely smaller than the AI set screws. I had an AI AXMC, but one of the biggest selling points of this is the quick barrel change feature, which you can do in the field, although I'm not sure why you would want to. But in any event, you simply unscrew those set screws, unscrew your barrel, slide in the new one, bump it to hand tight up against the shoulder, torque these down. I've been using 15 inch pounds on these set screws with amazing results on return to zero repeatability. I will post that a little bit later in this video. We'll go through that feature more in depth because I know that that's a big selling point for some people. Next, let's jump up top. Here we have a Tangent 5-25 P series scope sitting in a spur mount. This is the 1.18 inch high spur with 0 MOA built into the spur. This right here is their Raptor rail This is the Tactical Mall Ninja rail where you can mount all sorts of gizmos like night vision and Raptor, laser range finders and all this other cool crap. The only thing that I mount to the top of this rail is my Mark 1 hand. It's the only one I got. And basically, I just use this to ride this rail on a barricade stage or some sort of other wobbly contraption they want us to shoot off of. I know a lot of guys use their actual scope to put downward pressure on their rifle, and that is fine. I also do that sometimes. There is nothing wrong with it. If you have a good quality scope, there should be no problems with it. You're not going to damage the scope. You're not going to change your zero or anything crazy like that. But personal preference, I put it up here because I can almost use this as a steering wheel type fin as well. Next, let's jump down to the barrel. This is a 26-inch Bartline barrel. It is a 1 7.5 twist. It is an MTU contour. The barrel by itself, out of the action, weighs right at about 7 pounds, just maybe a smidge over 7 pounds. Keep that number in your head because that will speak to the overall purpose of this rifle that I will discuss a little bit later in the video, but nonetheless, about 7.5 pounds. This entire rifle as it sits is 19 pounds, as you see it configured here. Next, let's move down to the Arca rail here. This is a Henderson Precision Arca rail. They are the only ones that make an Arca rail for this specific stock. Quick disclaimer, as I touch on something here, everything on this rifle, this entire rifle, was purchased by me. No company gave me any of these products for review. I did not win any of these products at a competition. No one asked me to review these products and kind of give me a nudge on the shoulder like, hey, can you say something nice? No one did anything. So these are my opinions and thoughts based on my experience and my usage. I appreciate the fact that they went out of their way to make a rail for this stock when it's not a super widely used stock anymore in terms of PRS and NRL. However, this is not RRS spec, which is slightly disappointing because RRS spec is, one, RRS has said that which is really right stuff, has said that their spec is open source, and two, it seems to be the most common used spec for accessories in PRS NRL type matches. Perfect example here, this is an RRS full setup in terms of the tripod with their leveling base and their clamp. Because this is not to this spec, as you can see when I open this up, this is the neutral position of this clamp. This is supposed to allow the rifle to slide on the rail back and forth without just fully coming up. So you can't like lift it out of the clamp, but this is the neutral position. This is the fully open position where you can lift it out. But on the neutral position where it's supposed to slide, if you see, I have to really fight. I have to fight it a lot, and it's not super smooth, and it gets caught sometimes. And then to close it, I really gotta muscle it down pretty damn tight. You cannot loosen this clamp. Before somebody asks me, well, why don't you just loosen the clamp? You can't. I tried. I took the clamp apart. There is no way to loosen it. I asked Really Right Stuff if there was a way to loosen this clamp. There is not. So if anyone wants to undertake the project of making a RRS spec Arca rail or dovetail rail for this KMW Sentinel stock, I will be more than gracious to test it for you and tell you if it works. However, for the time being, this is my only option. Next, let's talk about the bipod. This is the Skypod, which was just recently acquired by MDT, originally designed by Thomas Sky. Amazing bipod. I have an Atlas. I used an Atlas when I first started shooting a competition. I love it. Atlases are amazing. But if you can step up to that next tier in bipod, the Skypod is it, man. This thing is amazing. Uses standard Atlas feet, so these are the Hawk Hill feet that I actually took off my Atlas to throw on here. I love those feet, personal preference. And I mean, it's just amazing, man. So quick little demo, you can have the more standard footprint. You can have a super wide footprint, like an F-class footprint. And you can have a super narrow footprint if you need to get a lot of extra elevation, if you need to shoot over something that's a little bit taller, such as tall grass in the field or something like that. It is super smooth to pull out, and then one button push to bring it back in. At the end of the barrel here, this is the APA Big Fat Bastard brake. It is the 4-port. This is the largest brake that they have. This is not the little bastard, which is the 3-port brake. This one is bored out for a 30 cal. It is the only one that I had on hand, but I am not a huge believer in that it's gonna make a giant, significant difference in terms of using a brake that's bored out for a 30 versus a brake that's bored out for a 243/6 mil. That's me personally. It's worked just fine. So there's that. Real quick, let's run back over here. A couple accessories. This is the short action precision 2-round holder, aka match saver. Pretty self-explanatory. Pop 2 rounds in here to always have in case you need to pop them in for emergency situations. This is a thumb shelf, I guess you could call it. I like to float my thumb on the side. Obviously, this is a thumb hole stock, so you're meant to wrap into and around the thumb hole. That was how it was originally designed. But when running the bolt, I find it coming from here to here to here a little slower, and then having to go back into here, than just finding this shelf here, bring up, pull back, down, find the shelf. A little bit faster in my opinion, and so that's just how I've shot my precision rifles. Some guys still wrap it around, but you'll see that the trend, including a lot of chassis, are now being made with the thumb shelf, whether that's MPA, MDT, KRG, a multitude. Even the Manners have a thumb hole cut now on their T2A gap and other things like that. So a lot of companies are going to the floating thumb because they see most competitors are using that technique now. So I think that covers the basic overview of the rifle. All right, so back to the action. Haha, Curtis Custom Vector Action, as I mentioned earlier, designed primarily to run with AW mags, and I'm gonna tell you why right now. So obviously AW mags are double stacked 10-round mags with a short profile. Look at that, very short, doesn't stick out a whole lot, which is amazing. I love AW mags. I personally think that AWs are the best mags on the market, ultra reliable. Let me tell you why. PRS situation, I see this happen a decent amount, but basically when you put upward pressure from the bottom of your mag, with AWs, I can literally hold the entire rifle up with upward pressure here, and it will still cycle. It'll be a little bit rougher because now you're riding on the top of the feed lips, but nonetheless, you can still, look at how much upward pressure I'm putting. And you can still, you can still get it right there. What I mentioned earlier, the caveat with AICS 10-round mags. This is not the Axiom. This is the Vector. The Axiom will run and really only runs with these mags. This one does not, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to slap this mag in. Won't run. The bolt face hits the back of the feed lips. If I pull this down, so I stick it in, pull it down as it'll go. Now it cycle, no problem, right? But if you've ever shot a competition or you've ever seen anybody shoot a comp, you'll see this problem a lot. And it's not just with the Curtis Vector actions. I've seen it happen with Surgeons, Defiance, you name it, man. Bighorns, whatever. If you put upward pressure here, it's not gonna feed at all. There's nothing you can do. So if you're shooting in a competition and this is riding on a rooftop, or it's riding on a bag, or it hits some other contraption that gives it upward pressure here, you're stuck. It's not gonna work. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, we'll file the back of the feed lips back. With this particular action, the cut is so wide in the bottom of the action for the AW mags that you would literally have no feed lips left. It hits about halfway down on the feed lips, so you would have none left if you filed them down. Some people say, oh, file the back of the mag catch. Well, if you filed it down so much that with upward pressure, it would feed reliably, then at that point, you would literally have to have upward pressure on it the entire time, because if you did one of these and pulled it down, this bolt would just ride right over the top of the rounds because it wouldn't be high enough anymore to feed it in that manner. So pretty finicky with these. Now, does that mean you can't set up your chassis or stock to work with this action and these mags? No, but you definitely have to make a concerted effort to do so. I know that MPA has made an insert for their MPA chassis so that you can run AICS mags reliably. But personally, given the choice, even if I could run 10-round AICS mags as reliably as this action runs AWs, which I have never had a problem with in this action, I just run AWs, man. There's so many more advantages to running an AW than, and if you've ever loaded one of these, forget it. You'll never want to load a standard AICS mag again. So let's jump into the main feature of this, the quick barrel change. I'm gonna throw in a video right here and we'll sort of talk about it. So what I want to show you guys here is my target at 100 yards. If you look at the larger group above the center red circle on the shoot and see, that is the first 6 shots that I took with the rifle. After completely stripping it down, I took the action out of the stock, I took the trigger out, I took the barrel out of the action, everything, and I threw it all into a Manners because I got this new Manners. I wanted to see how it fit and felt and everything like that. Threw it back into the Sentinel, and those were my first 6. I came down about 0.2 of a mil, and then I'm back on center of the red circle. Now let's roll in the quick change barrel feature and me actually doing it, and then we'll look at the first 3 shots right after screwing and unscrewing the barrel. So let's walk you guys through this. That is the Fix-It Sticks T-handle if you guys are looking for it. That is a 330 seconds from what I remember, if I remember correctly here. And I'm not going to take the set screws all the way out. I'm just going to loosen them a couple turns. I don't want to lose them, and they're pretty small. They do come all the way out though if you need to. And you can run this action actually without the set screws, and just torque it down like a regular action in terms of torquing the barrel on, but that kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion, but you certainly can do it. So here, the barrel was a little stiff at first to get out. If you want to use some sort of anti-seize or something like that on the threads, be my guest. As you can see, I removed the barrel completely from the action, and then here I am just torquing it back down. I don't know if you can see on the barrel, but I had just Sharpied a couple of lines where the barrel matches up with the set screws. I'm going to torque it down here until the shoulder hits the face of the action. I'm going to back it off about a quarter turn and then snap it right there. Give it a good hand-tight snap. If you can look at the set screw, that's the 15-inch pound limiter right there from Fix-It Sticks. Camera's not going to focus, but that's 15-inch pounds. That's what I'm using. I've seen guys use less, 10-inch pounds. And if you can see the set screw, there's a Sharpie right there just to let me know that I'm aligned every single time. I'm going to snug this down until I feel the screw hit the barrel. Then I'm going to change to the other side, do the same thing. Now I'm going to come back and torque this screw here down to 15-inch pounds. Boom. And then I'm going to do the other side, 15-inch pounds. And I found that if I do this exact same process, exactly the same every single time, the return to zero is really, really consistent, as you'll see in this next clip here. So here's the target, and let's watch the 6 o'clock red circle on the shoot and see. First shot after screwing in the barrel, boom, it's dead center. Second shot, little wiggle from me, a little smidge to the right. Third shot, right in between the both of them. So as you can see, it really, really is super consistent. Those were the first 3 shots after I took out the barrel. As I showed you guys saw that I was on zero right there in the dead center of the shoot and see in the middle with 3 there, and then I unscrewed the barrel, screwed it back in, and you can see my next 3 are perfectly back on zero. So now that you guys have seen that the Curtis Custom Vector action with the quick barrel change feature is pretty reliable in terms of returning to zero, I want to tell you guys briefly why this is my answer to a one-stop shop, one rifle do all sort of thing, or at least this action, which is the core component. As you see the rifle right now, it's set up for competition PRS NRL. This is exactly how I shoot it at 19 pounds. I also take this same rifle hunting. All I do is swap out the barrel for this right here. This is a 26-inch Sendero Light Proof Research carbon fiber barrel in a 6.5 PRC 1-7 twist. I literally just swapped this out using the quick barrel change feature. I've already noted my offsets in my turrets, and with the tangent theta scope and the toolless re-zero, I just zero out to that. And I'm on the money for hunting. This rifle drops from 19 pounds as you see it to, with this barrel, 14 pounds. Now I know that some people are gonna say, oh, well 14 pounds is still kind of heavy. Yes, it is kind of heavy for hunting, depending on what pack you have and the pack system and the way you carry your rifle and all that sort of thing. It's definitely not a mountain goat rifle, you know, something that you want like a 7-pound all-out rifle for. You can definitely get this a little bit lighter if you get a lighter scope, something like a Vortex AMG, and if you use rings instead of a one-piece spur mount, and you get rid of the Arca rail, and you use a lighter bipod like an Atlas, you can shave, you know, another pound and a half, maybe even 2 pounds. And this stock is pretty heavy. This stock here is a 4-pound stock as it sits. But if you use something like a Manners that I threw it in, I threw it in a PRS-1 with the mini chassis, and the exact same rifle configuration, it just by switching the stocks out, it dropped a pound because the Manners is a pound lighter than this Sentinel. So if you want to shoot it with a Manners and you want to swap it out to a carbon fiber barrel and you want this exact same setup, you'd be looking at like about 13 pounds with the same bipod, same scope, same spur, same everything. So, you know, there's definitely places to cut weight to get it even more variable. And really just using a heavier profile barrel as a sort of pseudo weight kit for competition, and then a proof research for hunting. And the quick barrel change feature allows you to do that. And it allows you to have the multitude of calibers that you want to shoot: 223, 224 Valkyrie, anything based on the 308 bolt face right here, and obviously anything based on the Magnum bolt face. So that is why I think that the Curtis Customs Vector Action is perfect for someone that's looking for a one rifle do everything sort of build. I know that that's kind of what some guys look for. They don't want to have 2 custom rifles, or they don't want to have a match rifle and then they're debating on spending on a trainer rifle and all that sort of stuff. If the core of what your build is this Vector Action with that quick barrel change capability, feel free to choose whatever stock you want, whatever barrel profile, trigger, literally everything you want, because this action affords you the ability to have one rifle that can transform into a trainer, into a hunter, into a comp rig. I mean, man, you could even throw a straight taper barrel in here and maybe try some F-class. Literally, you know, whatever you want, because this action affords you so much versatility. So that's my long-winded review. Those of you that made it with me till the end, I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions about anything on the rifle or any of the gear that you see, or if you have any questions on any gear in general, feel free to ask me. I've been fortunate enough to use a lot of different gear, including scopes and bipods and triggers and stuff like that. So feel free to ask, and please hit the subscribe button down below and hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it. And stay safe and stay shooting.